Now, before we get into this video, I just wanted to put a viewer's discretion is advised at the beginning. It is pretty graphic, but because of YouTube guidelines, I'm putting this here. So, you've been warned. Now, let's begin. I'd like to say that I'm a personal investigator or a cool underground FBI agent who looks for these types of things online, and then I infiltrate from the inside out. Unfortunately, I'm not. I never have been. I don't know who to go to or who to tell without incriminating myself, so maybe someone here can help me out. I'm a creep, and with being a creep comes a militant love for horror and gore. Every time I watched a new horror film, each one never satisfied me. It started with the stereotypical films like Terrifier, Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Human Centipede, etc., and soon became Cannibal Holocaust, Salò, 120 Days of Sodom, The Girl Next Door, all the way to the sketchy short films I'd watch or I'd find online. But one of my favorites always remained Saw. I loved the Saw films. I loved seeing these victims wither with the fear at a command. I watched it just about every day. I knew all the words. Now, for a little background. I live in a large city where rent is hard to provide every month, especially if you work in a mechanic shop, part-time, and an Uber driver whenever I have the chance. Finding an affordable apartment was hard as it is, but I came to the city completely alone. So naturally, finding a roommate that wasn't a complete psycho was even harder. My roommate's name is Dustin, but all his friends call him Dusty, because let's just say that he's not the smartest or cleanest guy you'll ever meet, but his intentions are good. Dusty came home this day on time, which is very unusual, as he usually stops and gets a regular order of roast beef and onion sandwich at a sandwich shop a few blocks down the street. He has a crush on a girl who works there, but honestly, he's not really the most appealing type. She tolerates him though. As usual, I was finishing up Saw. I normally finish it before Dusty gets home. He hates the film, but I wasn't expecting him to actually be here on time. Hey Dusty, how was this fucking movie again, man? You're obsessed. It's so stupid, he said, already walking to the refrigerator, probably for leftover cold pizza or a Mountain Dew. Hey, what's up your ass? I just asked you how work was, I said, not taking away my eyes from the screen. What are you doing home so early anyways? Don't you always visit that girl? Melissa, or whatever her name is. Boss asked me to work the midnight shift showing this new stupid horror flick. I bet you'd love it. Anyways, Melissa is a stupid bitch. Whoa, that's quite a different attitude than a couple of days ago. Yeah, well, things change, dude. I'm just here to get lunch, and then I'm bouncing. He paused to take a bite of his pizza, and he raised his head and rolled his eyes at the gore on the TV. Why don't you just go to a red room or something, man? The action is way better than this crap. He rolled his eyes again and turned back to the fridge. A red room? What's that? I turned and finally looked at him. An alarm went off on his phone. Shit, dude, I gotta get back to work. I'll send you an invite as soon as I get there. He grabbed his bag and hurried out of the door. An invite? I had to be invited? I finished Saw, but I couldn't get what Dusty said out of my head. Melissa is a stupid bitch. Things change, dude. An alert on my laptop brought me back to Earth. I opened it, expecting a vapid Facebook notification or an email. But what I saw in front of me was a bright flashing red box on the screen with some words. Want to play. Written across it in black bold lettering, with the option accept and decline underneath. I sighed, realizing that this red room Dusty was referring to was probably just some stupid porn site or chain email. I reluctantly clicked accept and waited. A black screen with a countdown and a chat log came up on my screen. The countdown read 45 seconds. I was confused to say the least, but interested until I read this chat log. Who is it gonna be today? I want to see her struggling to get away. Fish hook her mouth open and saw her in half. The comments were disturbing and got more gruesome as the countdown got closer. Soon, the time was up and the live stream began buffering. A man in a saw mask came into frame and he waved at the camera. He reached down slightly and appeared to be typing into the chat. No bidding today, everyone. This one is for a special friend. My confusion had overtaken me as he started to step out of frame, and then my stomach dropped. Standing on the chair in the middle of the room was Melissa. She was in a nun habit and completely naked otherwise. Her left arm had been bound to the weight that was sitting atop of the stool on her left, and her right arm was bound to the weight on the stool on her right. She was gagged and she had a noose around her neck and tears streaming down her face. The man in the mask imitated a cartoon laugh as he listened to her sobs. I began to get sick to my stomach as I just watched her struggling for a few moments before the man stepped out of frame and then back into it a moment later. He showed a makeshift Frankenstein device made up of razor blades formed into a little circle ball. He let the viewer see it for a few seconds before walking over to Melissa, removing her gag and shoving it into her mouth, telling her to chew. Blood began to seep out from her lips as she sobbed and did as he said. She knew he'd kill her if she didn't. After 5 minutes of her chewing, I was ready to puke my guts out. All the while, 1,000 thoughts ran through my head. The biggest ones were that I needed the saber, and the others were fear-stricken. Her mouth was now torn to pieces, skin hanging from the roof of her mouth, bleeding profusely. She was trembling and gagging and crying as the people in the chat log cheered the man on. Some wanted him to torture her. Others wanted him to kill her already. My mouth was dry and my hands were shaking so bad, I couldn't even grasp a cup if I wanted to. I was paralyzed with fear as I watched this man begin to break her leg and her arm bones with a sledgehammer and dumbbells. And as she fell off the chair, the weight tied to her hands fell with her and crushed her left hand and right thigh. She shrieked and sobbed, begging him to stop, but he didn't. The next few minutes were pure torture. I was watching her die slowly before my eyes, and I was so frozen in fear and shock I couldn't move, or think, or talk. All I thought to do was get my phone and call Dusty. This couldn't be what he wanted me to see. This couldn't be real. I finally snapped and grabbed my phone, quickly dialing Dusty. My heart sank as I watched the man quickly step out of frame, and then quickly back in with his phone in hand, and my name on the screen. Dusty was murdering and torturing Melissa right before my eyes. The same man I had lived with for a year, had a conversation with just a few minutes ago. He waved at the camera and answered with all too cheerful, "Hello." Dustin, what the hell? What did you do? What have you done? You're sick. You don't like the movie, I see, he said back, as he brought the camera closer to the nearly dead Melissa. Smile, Mel. He's watching. That's what you always wanted, right? For him to watch you. He paused. And touch you. He stroked what was left of her hair. Well, he doesn't want you now. He won't ever want you now. He cartoon laughed, for the camera again and waved his fingers to the lens. "This one's for you, Mark. She's all yours now." He hung up before I could even react. Dusty pulled out a gun and shot her 3 times. He set the camera up on the chair and took off his mask. An eerie grin was on his face. "Welcome to the Red Room, Mark." He smiled slightly, but there was something off about his eyes. Someone in there I had never seen before. He leaned back and picked up Melissa's mutilated arm and waved it at the camera. Her now lifeless body had gone limp and on the floor behind him. And before I could even react, Dusty put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. I didn't even make it to the toilet. I started retching my guts all over the carpet. I passed out in a fetal position shortly after. The next couple of days were torturous. A missing persons report had been filed, and Melissa's friends and family were on the news, begging and pleading for her safe return. The sickness in my stomach never went away, and I had been profusely vomiting every day since it happened. I keep trying to puzzle things together, trying to figure out if I could at least identify where he had taken her. It looked like an old warehouse of some kind, but I couldn't begin to tell where. I hardly ever left the house except for work. The police came by a few times, asking me question after question about Melissa. I had only ever met her a few times when I would get a sandwich down at the shop, or when Dusty wanted me to pick him up. From what I've gathered, she had a crush on me. That's how she sealed her fate. The reason why I'm writing this here is because I have received a letter today in the mail. It didn't have a return address. No name, no way of knowing who it was that sent it. It read, "To Mark," on the outside of the envelope. It contained screen caps and chat logs of the Red Room, Dusty's Red Room. Every horrible thing that people told him to do was right there, on paper, in front of me. The last thing it contained was a white sheet of paper and a woman's fingernail. I pulled out a white paper and unfolded it. I held back from vomiting as I read that message written in black bold letters across the page. "She's wrapped up waiting here for you, Mark. We saw what you did. If you don't collect her, you'll join her." Now, before you exit the video, I just want to let you guys know that there is a part 2 to this. So if you guys did enjoy this and would like to see more, there is a part 2. If you would like, I could definitely do it, but make sure to let me know down in the comment section. And I want to go ahead and say, I've already read it. And yeah, it's fucking intense. Like, it gets even worse, like way worse. So if you guys would like to see that, make sure to let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like, comment, and if you're new to this channel, make sure to subscribe. We're doing nothing but growing. I've got a lot of content and a lot more coming, but I just know that you guys do really like these dark web stories, so I'll keep those coming 100%. And if you haven't, by the way, make sure to check out the channel members section, where I post bonus content, bloopers, stuff like that. I will be dropping some surprise stuff once I hit 1K. Which, from how it looks, will be pretty soon. Which I'm very thankful for, and I want to say thank you for everybody that has joined this community and helped me build it. Honestly, without you guys, there's literally nothing. But make sure to check out the links in the description as well, like my Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. So, with that being said, stay safe, stay scary, and I'll see you in the next one. But for real, guys, this part 2 is like